Alright, hello, hopefully you can hear me. And if you can't for any reason, do let me know. But welcome to your Saturday night. I am your Saturday night. A quick little intro. If you're joining for the first time, we are here for Art Night. Which Art Night is unbelievably fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy painting with all of you. I enjoy getting on here. We're going to be doing a continuation of the painting I started last week. And quick little where we are. So we're here in my studio space. It's where I do most of my live streams from. In the center of the screen we have my easel, a canvas board with the painting I started, my palette, and then behind that we have some books and some other fun little knickknacks. This is the place that I like to be, and this is the place where I get to share art with all of you. Now there are captions should you want them or need them, so you can go ahead and turn those on, but we're going to dive into a little bit of creativity. So what I started last week, which you're going to be able to see on the screen here, is this piece. And this particular piece is, as I drop some brushes, you know, that's just what we do. We drop some brushes here and there. So this particular piece started as a concept, almost a little bit of my own inner monster. And the idea was pretty simple as far as what the inspiration was. And that is how I kind of get stuck in this particular type of mindset. And that mindset is thinking I need to do things in a certain way. Now, when it comes to art, I usually do alla prima art. And alla prima art, if you're not familiar with it, is the idea that, you know, you kind of start a piece and you just keep going until you're finished. I need to step away from alla prima art as often as I can. It's not always necessarily the best place to be. But, really quick, before we get too far, I am going to let you know that depending on where you're joining me, there's going to be a link either in the description of the video or in the chat, depending on where you're joining me. And that link is for my website. And why do you want to go to my website? That is an excellent question, so let me tell you. And as I'm telling you that, I'm going to be getting a little bit of this nice metallic gold paint, because I'm going to actually put some metallic gold in a bunch of spots on here, with the intention of using that as some undertone. Get that on my palette really quick. So why do you want to go to my website? Well, on my website, you can get all sorts of really cool stuff. The first thing that I'm going to tell you that you can get is actually my original artwork. And not just my original artwork, but you can also get prints of my work. And not just prints of my work, you can also get my art on things like pencil bags, brush bags. I have a really cool tote. I have some t-shirts, I have some sweaters, I have some leggings. Check them out. You're gonna really be happy if you did. If you do. You're gonna be happy if you check out all that stuff, because I got some good stuff. And if for some reason you get some of that good stuff, make sure to take a picture when you get it. Post it up on social media. I want to see people wearing cool stuff, or holding cool stuff, or with like a print or something in hand. I want to see that. I want to see it. I want to be able to enjoy you enjoying my art. So we have a few colors we're going to be using. I have metallic gold. I have a cadmium orange. I have teal, and I have yellow ochre. But the first thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking this wide brush. This is a number 15, I think. I'm going to get some gold on here. I'm not going to wait. I have a lot of stuff I want to do, and I don't want to lose the opportunity to do said stuff. Now, I have an intention of kind of starting to build up a very particular kind of aesthetic here. Even though this started as an idea of like, oh, my inner monster, I think that my inner monster should have some characterization. They should have some intriguing visual qualities. So we're going to start building that up. I'm doing that right now with this metallic gold paint in this number 15 brush. I want to have some unnatural lighting. And the best way to do that is from an early point to start using tones which wouldn't necessarily make sense. Oh my goodness, my voice today. My voice. I've been having so many voice cracks lately. So do bear with me on that as my voice just cracks along. Crack, crack, crack. Oh. But we're going to get a lot of visual interest here. And I want to give a quick little shout out. Well, not just to all of you, but specifically to learning how to hold a palette this way. So I was talking about this last week, and I still think it's great and it's hilarious and it's fun that I can do it. Hey there! Welcome, Silver Fox. So I didn't know for years and years and years how to hold a palette. I didn't know. I recently learned, and I got to see all these classic examples. But I have to go ahead and give that shout out really quick because it is the Silver Fox herself, DJ, who went ahead and taught me how to hold a palette. So thank you. Thank you immensely. I'm never going to forget it because it's always going to be both hilarious and at the same time, like, just, ooh, thank you so much. As a quick note also, this gold paint actually is courtesy of the Silver Fox as well. Oh. So there's my little quick shout out and also a big old thank you. I like this gold paint. I like the way it looks. This is going to give us a really cool lighting tone here. But there's some spots that I want to use it in because I have some ideas. I have some plans. You know, this may have started as just, well, you know, you have to say thank you when someone does something good. Well, you don't have to, but you should. You should. There's what's right and what's right. So, this piece started as an idea of how do I portray like this whole inner monster, this thing inside me that keeps me working in a very particular way. But it's evolved since then. Get some of this cadmium orange. And these paints that I use and everything, so this is the cadmium orange. These paints that I use and everything, these are available on my Amazon storefront. If you buy anything there, I might make a little bit of money, but you should definitely go ahead and check that stuff out, because there's some really, really good products that I've been using and introduced to, and that I'm kind of developing a fondness for. So yeah, we're going to put this cadmium orange, and so this is a wet on wet here that I'm doing. A wet on wet, getting this cadmium orange mixed into this still wet gold. But I'm not doing it everywhere. I'm doing it specifically so that I can start to create tone variances. And I'm using a much smaller brush, so now I'm using a number 8. Still a flat brush, but this is a number 8. But you can see this is already creating a wonderful contrast between the gold and then the yellow that's underneath and all of these things. Oh, that painting has been set aside for the time being. Yeah, that painting was set aside. We started a new painting. The other painting I'm going to go ahead and do a bunch of changes on. It'll come back. It'll come back. You know. But that wasn't what I was feeling last week, and it's not what I'm feeling right now. You know, and sometimes when that happens, you just have to roll with what is feeling right. And that's what we're doing. Alright, so I'm going to get some of this here. I'm already starting to build up some of my background here. Just keep this moving. But yeah, don't worry, that painting will come back. That painting shall return at the appropriate moment. Alright, so I'm about to take some of my cadmium orange and some yellow ochre. I'm going to mix that together. And kind of make this tone here. Don't really have a name for it, but this is the next tone. And start to build up some additional colors we're going to need, because right now our monster is wearing nothing but canvas. And that simply won't do. So, start to put all of this here. Get some build up. There's going to be a few different colors going in on here. And I am going to end up covering up some of the hair, but it's going to come back. It's going to come back. We have to do a lot of layering, a lot of blending, and a lot of work to get us where we are supposed to be. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do the work. Do the work. So let me talk for a moment about some of the struggles of being an artist.
Sometimes you get ideas, and sometimes those ideas are absolutely amazing. And sometimes they are not. And you go to try to execute them, go to try to make them work, and what happens is you end up in a place that you're like, I don't like this. I don't like it. I'm not happy with it. I need to change this.
We have to make adjustments.
And that's what I'm doing. I'm making adjustments. Making adjustments and correcting what ultimately I decided I was unhappy with. Sometimes that's something you just have to do.
I'm liking that already. That looks cool. That looks really cool, actually. Alright. So we have a pretty cool little outfit going on. I'm going to sit down for a second. Like a lot of work that I do, everything comes in stages. Sometimes those stages are piece by piece, and sometimes they require lots of thought and lots of consideration and wondering and reworking. And then there's the styles and the concepts and the ideas that like get into your mind. And then while you're trying to have a nice conversation on your stream, your cats decide that they're gonna have a little fight a few feet away from you, and I'm pretty sure you can probably hear that. And if you can't hear it, well, I can. And they're being silly. They're being cats. All right.
Because I'm still going to be doing some wet on wet, and I want to make sure I'm not losing absolutely everything, let's go ahead and keep building up. Building up. You know, I've got a lot to do here.
Got a lot to do, a lot to figure out, a lot to play with. I'm liking my aesthetic here. I'm liking my colors. I'm liking the way it all feels. Hopefully you like it too. But we're really going to just have fun with this. Like, a lot of fun. A quick little dollop of crimson. Oh, I got crimson all over my finger. Oh, goodness, no. Oh, that's leaking. We'll deal with that later. Deal with that later. Alright, so I'm going to also drop a brush because my hands are slippery with crimson paint. Hands are slippery. Because the gold is still wet, and so is like the cadmium orange, I'm going to be able to get a pretty nice little blend of colors here.
try to play with that a little bit. A little more play with it. There we go. Liking the way that's working. So the idea here is I'm going to make some implied motion with this hair. And we're doing that with a little bit of wet on wet blending, but also with just some fine brushwork. So let's keep doing that. There really are a lot of steps still to take. But we're trying to hit multi-tonality, depth, texture, all of these nice things that make our work better. And honestly, I think at this point in time, I'm already getting a much better visual here. Like, this visual already to me is a lot better. It's a much clearer image, a much clearer vision, as it were. Hopefully you agree. If you don't worry. We have a lot to do and so many places to go. I also just cannot believe how much paint I've managed to get on my thumb today. Holy bananas. Oh, all this paint on my thumb. I don't think my captions are quite right. I just looked over and I saw what some of them said, and it's like, that is not what I just said. At all. Now, I'm going to need a little bit of my burnt sienna, because I still have some stuff I want to do in the background. So I'm going to start to build in some of the background. I know that there's a lot still to do with the character, with details, with the face, with the hand, everything. But I need some of this burnt sienna because I've already started to create like a pattern in the background, but I need to start building this up a little. So what I'm going to be doing here and this burnt sienna is semi-opaque, so we should retain a lot of that stuff I've already laid down. Yeah, that's looking good. Build in some of this background. Start to add some additional layers. Hey, depending on where you are or where you're joining us, feel free to say so in the chat. Like, where are you? Where are you at? What are you doing this wonderful weekend? Have you done anything interesting already this weekend? That's actually a fun one right there. Just like, have you done anything really cool? Feel free to ask questions also in the chat at any point in time.
And know that I appreciate that you're here.
Or say where you're joining from. That would be fun. It doesn't necessarily have to be like where you are in the world, but like what platform are you joining from? Get involved. It would be awesome if you did. And if this is your first time here, definitely say hello. Well, you don't have to. I'm just saying. You can, and it would be awesome if you did. No, I have a lot I need to do with these horns still. That was kind of like the idea here.
She was going to have horns. And I think those somewhat
are evident, but I can really improve upon these horns a lot. I'm actually just going to go ahead. A little bit of paint over, not much, just a little. Because there's still a lot to do here, so it's not a big deal.
A little paint mix-up, that's fine. That's fine.
So yeah, and this is a vintage paint that I'm using right now. This is a vintage acrylic. As I said, these are available on my Amazon storefront. But don't worry, you don't have to buy anything from there. But if you do, it'd be awesome. So doing this the way I am right now is going to give me a great opportunity to build depth
in the piece.
Build a lot of depth, build a lot of interest and a lot of contrast. As I slowly start to build background. Now, since it is a slightly darker background, it's actually going to make the lighter aspects of our subject stick out even more. I also invite you to help me come up with maybe a name for our monster. You know, you can help me come up with a name
as we get this built in.
Yeah, go ahead and get in here a little bit. I'm going to start to develop some
areas of overlap as we go further. These horns are coming back,
but right now I'm not concerned about a little bit of overpaint on them because
I can restructure, I can make them better. If you choose paints
with a good opacity, you can always start to tie elements together.
So as you can see, like I'm brushing over, but you can still see these two horns, they're still there. I haven't covered them up. You can still see the lines I was putting in the background before. You know, these are just really good things to know about how your paint works. And in choosing paints. Have to choose the right paint
for the right job.
The right paint for the right job.
And you know, I always try. I always try to make the right choices for what I'm doing. I get it wrong sometimes.
I do things sometimes in an
Obtuse manner. Do odd edge blending.
but that's part of the fun here.
So yeah, you can go ahead and you can give suggestions for our inner monster's name.
I think that she
Has a really nice visual aesthetic here.
I think that the way this piece is
Building is actually really complimentary. And there's kind of a
brightness to it,
a hopefulness to it. Let me take a moment to kind of go on a mild tangent, just mild. When I write
stories, when I create characters,
I try to imagine things about them. And I also try to
think about the world that they live in.
And in a lot of cases, they often live in actually pretty hopeful worlds. It might not always appear that way on the outside, but there's actually a lot of hope in most of my fiction.
And I realize that a lot of what I write and create
Is sometimes very dark. Or it's just, it can be a lot to take in, but there is hope there also. There's hope and possibilities.
and so much that you can find within the work. Absolutely so much. So like right now, as you can see, since I did that darkening of the background, the lighter elements that are in front, they're popping out more. Now we did do some cover up of some of the elements of the piece, but overall everything is still really well visible. And I'm going to start to do some tie-ins on some of this to really just make it all the more unified. All the more unified. So I'm going to take a slightly shorter fat brush here.
So we got some shadow zone in here.
Start to build up some of our shadow regions.
With this same really nice
Warm. It's very warm.
this burnt sienna is very, very warm.
Now I don't want to add a ton of it in right now,
But I am going to start to use it
as a unification in terms of
shadow zones.
but also to start to build some warmth and depth in some of these areas.
warmth and depth.
Hopefully you can already see some of that warmth and
Depth I'm talking about as I come in and start to fill in some of our zones.
We're just getting some of that in there. Starting to tie together portions of it. So this is already like a really different piece already. Really different. But it's starting to take on a lot of these qualities I want it to have. Warmth, depth,
visual intrigue. We're going to do even better by it as we go along.
That's a huge difference. We started from practically nothing, and look at how far we've come. Look at how absolutely far we've come. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to encourage you once more. If you've done anything like interesting lately, or you're working on any art, or you have anything fun going on you'd like to mention, feel free to stick that in the chat wherever you are. Or, let us know where you might be joining from today. We're going to take a little angle brush here. I'm taking this is a little bit, starting to give her eyebrows back.
Now I'm still using this burnt sienna because that's going to become foundational for things like my shadows.
But also for tying together the warmth, the absolute warmth of what I'm doing.
I can't believe this concept started, Let's draw a monster. But that is not where we've ended up, is it? It's not just a monster anymore. It's
an idea.
I think a beautiful idea.
At least I think so. Hopefully you think so too.
And thank you, by the way, for those of you who are joining today.
Those of you who are here
for what's really going to be
a fun
and different kind of painting. What I'm doing right now is I'm starting to build in shadow areas.
You gotta build in some shadows.
Just this little bit of extra goes a long way.
Goes a long, long way. Now, a quick note for all of you who are interested. Pure white on a painting can sometimes be jarring. There are very few pure whites in the world. So if you're going to use a white, use one with a relatively good opacity. Not opacity, translucence. You want a semi-translucent white, or to stick to things like off-whites. You don't want to just go ahead and put pure white on most pieces. It can really look weird. But if the white you're using is pretty translucent, what it can actually do is start to build natural highlights. So like right here, something I'm doing is actually just adding some white to the underside of that lip. Then I'm going to get a very small amount of my crimson. I'm going to start to darken in that top lip a bit. Just a little bit of additional detail. We have more shine to the face, so we have a lot to look at here, really. And I do mean a lot. There is a lot to look at here. Alright, so I'm going to take some of my yellow ochre really fast. And again, this is all about building further depth. And we're doing a really good job, I think, actually, at building some of these areas of depth. Using the yellow ochre by itself here is going to help us distinguish some spots, pull out some more areas to look at. And also help to really break up the silhouette and the lighting. You know, we want to break up the silhouette. We want to break up the lighting. We want to add, and that's what we're doing, we're adding. So the eyes have been lightened up a bit. What I'm going to do really quick is I'm going to go ahead and actually add some to the skin everywhere. So I'm going to be using this very small round brush, and I'm going to be mixing a little bit of red, a little bit of apricot, a bit of white. We're going to get kind of a pink tone. And what I'm going to do... No, that's not quite right. It's going to take a couple... No, actually, never mind. That's not bad. A little more white, though. A little more white. You'll notice, again, we are using some semi-transparent paint in here.
And what I'm actually doing right now is I'm altering how much is mixed together and in what proportions. These varying proportions are going to help me start to really tie the face together nicely. As I'm sure you can start to see as I come in here and start to build up certain spots. We're getting kind of some variance, highs and lows. And that's one of the things I really want here is to start to kind of highlight the highs and lows. I want the light to be striking in such a way that certain areas really stick out more than others. And that's something that we're starting to get here. I will take a moment to say, if there's any paintings that I've done that you really would like to have either another look at or something that I haven't finished that you'd like to be finished, you can always go ahead and share those. You can direct message me if you want, or you can just share in the chat. You know, however works best for you. But if there are pieces that I've done or that I haven't finished on camera that you would like to either revisit or see finished, go ahead, make that known, share that information. That is the best way to see the artwork that you like. Get a little more attention. Absolute best way. There are some things on here I have to fix, so we're going to try to do that as best as we can. Where possible. But this is kind of, once the process really starts going, really gets in there, you start to have a lot of fun. Like, I'm having a lot of fun. This is exploration at its finest. And let me remind you that that is a large part of what art is. Exploration. Exploration and kind of figuring things out. That's what we're doing. We're figuring things out. We're figuring things out as we go.
We're figuring out what we like.
We're discovering our way forward.
We're discovering our way backward. Alright, so there's some stuff that I definitely need to do, and we're going to keep going, because we still have time. This is going nicely.
Like this.
This is something I love in art.
Everything about this right now is really nice and multi-tonal and with
Varying depths
and degrees of
design.
That's actually something I needed to fix, was kind of her chin and neck.
So there we go. A little bit of fix on that. Wow. Yeah, that's looking pretty cool. Pretty cool indeed. Alright. I need a long brush. And this kind of hard number 8 is going to do. Presuming I don't drop paint. There's some colors in the back that I'm going to just start to bring out. Oh yeah. Alright. So, while I'm doing this, there is another color I need to get really quick. Ooh, there we go. So I'm going to be getting a little gray. And there's some spots that I want to hit with this gray. I'm using just a detail brush here. A little bit of gray there. A little bit of gray there. Now, a little gray up on these. And one of the reasons I'm using this detail brush right now is I don't want to overshoot where I want to be. So I'm going to be able to get kind of tight with this in a way that I might not be able to with some of my other brushes. Because I want to put a little bit of graying on these horns. I actually think that's going to get us a nice final silhouette with them.
Also want to make sure that I'm not losing them entirely in the hair, which we were starting to do. Now, because this gray is a much thicker tone, it's actually going to let me cover up very well with some of these things that were already on here. Now, I don't want to cover everything up because there are some features here in the base where I started that I think are really strong. Like, really strong. But I really want to make sure that certain aspects of this are not getting lost. So, like, even these nails, though they were really nice, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be putting some gray over top of them so I can block them out a little better. Because I didn't like the way they looked before. Were they good? Yeah, they were good. They just weren't exactly right. And some of the areas on them were very thin. And not quite the right shape. And I'm going to fix that. So, just going to have to gray over the nails. This is going to need a little time to set. But it's going to be well worth it. Now I am leaving some of the previous color around the edges. I actually think that's going to give it a better look in the end. And something I'm going to be doing here is, because I'm going to be coming in and putting some more hair in and adding some more depth, is I'm actually going to take some of this gray really quick and I'm going to be putting this in. And it's because I want to make sure that I can cover up some of my previous areas. So we're just adding a little bit of this gray so that when I do that, I have a nice surface to do it on. I want to break up some of what was already here, but I also want to make sure that I'm not trying to paint over what would be like too much. It's really going to allow me to lighten a lot of this up. So hue changes like this sometimes require you to do a little destruction, and that's something that I'm doing right now. Yeah, and it's going to turn out better this way. So yeah, just adding this gray in. I'm going to paint new hair over top of that. We're going to change the color of the nails. We're going to change some of the hair. We're going to change the horns. That's all going to happen. And I'm going to add that in there because I want to be able to do something down there. And I'm going to end up adding some there. So again, we're just adding some gray, and this is going to help me to really effectively change what's going to be here. Like, there's some stuff I got to do, and to do it, I need to make changes. So where these gray spots are, That's where I'm going to be doing changes. And I need that there. I don't need it there, but it's going to make it easier. It's going to make my job easier. If you know what I mean. Actually, just so that I can. Yeah, we're just doing some of this so that I can do some changes to the piece that I think will overall improve it. And with all changes, no, it's not always just like, oh, well, no, we're going to change that. No, you got to do stuff to make it happen. So that's what we're doing. I'm putting in a little bit of extra there. We're going to be doing some changes to the hair, the hand, the nails, and the horns. So I've just added gray in there. I think it's going to make a huge difference. And, you know, I like it. I like it. I'm going to give this a second to dry. And I'm going to talk to you really quick again about my website. Now, I already was telling you a little bit about it earlier. What can you get on my website? You can get original artwork. You can get art prints. You can get sweaters. You can get t-shirts. I have crop tops and leggings. And I also have bags for carrying art supplies. Why should you get stuff there? Well, number one, it's supporting small business. And number two, it's supporting indie art. And number three, you're actually helping make streams like this and all of these wonderful art projects we do possible. So do consider going over there, and even if there's nothing that you want for yourself, some of the bags and the brush bags and the pencil bags make great gifts. I also have a sketchbook. It's a small travel size. So consider getting one of those things, or considering telling someone you know who's an artist about these cool brush bags, and, you know, just continue that cycle that way. It would make my day, absolutely, but it would also help continue to support indie art and this wonderful, beautiful, creative world we live in. So that's my quick commercial. Quick commercial break. All right. But again, thank you for being here. Woo! That was my chair. We're gonna go ahead. I'm getting, now that some of this is settled, and I'm gonna come back in with some of my burnt sienna. Because there's some spots in the back of this that I want to darken in. So that's what we're going to do. And it's a really warm dark, you know? It's not like dark dark, it's warm dark. So we're going to get that in here really quick. You know, just make that little bit of difference. Little bit of difference. And now that I have that, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to grab a little bit of my yellow ochre and a little bit of my gold and mix those together. A little more gold, actually. Because I wanted to change the hair and the way it was flowing. So that's something we're doing right now. A little more yellow ochre. And this is going to go a long way to really changing how that hair is flowing through here. I'm going to get some of the red, because the red I need to mix through. going to start to give
Depth, really good depth.
a little more of our gold because that red's not quite dry. And some yellow ochre. And what this is doing right now is it's letting me add more depth to the hair and continue to build a better visual style. I think that's actually one of the most important things here is building our visual style. A little bit of the red.
Oh yeah, the yellow eyes really make it pop, don't they?
It adds to the overall look. Now this is not going to stay this way. I just need to get some of that on there really quick so that I can get some of this on here really quick. But I'm trying to distinguish some of these areas a little bit more. And one of the ways I'm doing that is a little bit of wet on wet blending. But also trying to build up layers. Some really good layers of color. And some of these color layers, they're not going to be perfect.
But even that right now, when I go to paint more over top, what's the blue called? Oh, okay. So what I have on here, actually, so this is a gray that's on here. You like the blue hair. Okay, so the blue hair was actually to establish undershadow, which you can actually see. So a lot of this is actually to establish shadow, but the particular blue I was using was phthalo blue. And that phthalo blue is actually what I'm using as a base for my shadows. So a lot of these dark areas have this darkness because of phthalo blue. Let me write that really quick. And just going to stick that in here. As soon as I remember how to spell it. There we go. Why is it so light?
I think part of that is this. Part of it's that, but another part is I'm actually, so there, that's just a different light. But another part of it, so let me lower that light. That's too bright, I guess.
There we go. That's better. Okay, so part of the reason it's so bright is the light I'm using.
That's not, wow. I should not change my lighting midway. Oh.
Why is the blue so light? Oh, so why is the blue so light? So if you're talking about like the nails, the horns, and that's actually a gray. So that's gray. And it does look kind of blue because of all the warm colors around it. It has a really fun effect like that. Pardon me. Ooh. So I have phthalo blue and gray, and there's actually some teal mixed into the background. And all of this is to help create a certain mood and a certain kind of tying force. I'm trying to tie it all together in a certain way. I do want to make the eyes a little bit brighter, so we are going to do that. And I also, I need to really make the hair lighter. The horns are going to be redone. The nail color is going to be redone. So there's some spots that I touched up with gray, and all of that is actually going to result in a better final composition. But I've started to fall into... Oh, that's a great great word to use. I've started to go into kind of an fall or an autumnal color palette here. It just felt right. It felt like it matched with the character I was building and the aesthetic I was building. So that's one of the things we're getting here, is this really fun kind of autumn. Now I'm going to be adding some medium yellow to the hair in small amounts. And there's that chair again. Ooh, I set this down. Let's get this back in the arm the right way. Okay. Now because my red is still so wet, we're not going to like absolutely drown the darks in these yellows. But this is a medium yellow. I'm going to be using it kind of sparingly and in very specific spots, because I want to build highlights and also pick out like individual strands of hair. And also add some brightness. So we have some varying goals here. And you can kind of see how that effect works now. Now I have to be careful not to add too much just yet, because I don't want it to turn green. Which could happen. But I'm using a very thin little brush here to get the effect that I want. So that makes a huge difference there. Big old one. Now, I'm going to be doing here. Just adding a little of that in there. Just a little. Just a little. Again, we're just picking out a little bit. A little bit. Some of this detail work here is actually a lot harder than it looks. But I think that it's not just worth it, it's very necessary. It's part of what's going to build a really beautiful piece. And that's one of the things I want, is I want a really beautiful piece. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. But you know what it is? fun. Above all else, it's definitely fun. Not that one. Okay, I think this is exactly what I want. Now I just have to find the right brush. Right brush, right brush. That's the wrong brush. Alright, so I had an idea here. And because we're sticking with that kind of fall palette here, take a little bit. Of a bright orange. I'm going to use that right up here. The upper lids. Oops. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Found a little bit of junk on the... Oh dear. There we go. A little bit of orange accent. I like that. That looks nice. I think it looks nice, at least. Alright, so I think now my nails should be dry. And what I'm going to do get some new color on these and make them neater. I think this is working. I think this is working nicely. I need a little bit more. I lost. It's a little too... I can't zoom in on the phone and see very well the details. Alright, that's something that hopefully I can help with here in a moment. So give me just 1 second and I will see if I can do something to make it a little bit easier to see these details. Okay. Paint's getting a little thin here. There we go. I think I'm going to have to details. Yes, so let me go ahead and I will try to make it a little bit easier in just a moment to hopefully see some of these. I think that's good. I am going to have to fix those nails again.
But that's some of the stuff that happens. Okay. So, drop that. So I don't have to worry. And let's see how that works. So there we go. That's a better view of the hair, the face, which kind of has a bit of an unnatural glow to it. The nails, I messed up the middle finger, so I'm going to have to fix that. We're going to fix that in just a second here. But there is a better view of the lips, the face, the eyes, and the hand, and the hair. Because there's this hair, I have gone ahead and taken a lot of time to add dimensionality to it, as well as just general pop and power. There's good shadows here. There's some things that I can improve upon, but otherwise, hopefully that view helps you. We still have to do the horns. I still have to do more in the background. I kind of am getting like almost a grimy color to the background now, and we can make that a little bit better. Let me make sure that that's focused. All right, hopefully that focuses that out better. But there we go. That is a closer view on our inner monster. And she does need a name. Oh, and just so you know, what I've done is I've added crimson to black to do these nails. So they're not a flat black, they're actually a crimson black. I think it makes it just more visually interesting, and it adds more depth and warmth to the piece. Overall, this is what I would call a really strong piece of artwork. There's still a lot to do. I still have more color to add to the hands. I still have more details to add. This is a much slower process. So, yeah, we have a lot more to do. But there are individual strands of hair here. And we have these really bright eyes and this really kind of glowy bright face and this really nice hand detail. So I think overall that is just, it's a good piece. It's a good piece. And one thing I'm going to do before it dries on me is I need to try to fix, because that hand, that one nail on the hand, got too big. So hopefully I can fix this. I actually think that did a pretty good job of fixing that end. Yeah, I can do better on that, but as far as I'm concerned, that's actually a lot of improvement already. So there we go. There's where we currently are. While I'm doing that, let me just get a little more shape there. Lot to do. Lot to do. But each detail has added more to what is going to be our final composition. Oh, this was fun. Let me go ahead. I'm going to lean that back a little again. So yeah, we still have to do the new version of the horns because the last version I was unhappy with. Thank you. I love painting. This was a whole lot of fun. I hope that you got a good view when I had it leaned in. If not, well, I will make sure that there are pictures available. But
I think this is a good piece. We came so very far from last time. So very far. Great. That is wonderful. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wish everyone an absolutely wonderful Saturday. I have been your Saturday night. This has been Art Night painting with me. And we had this wonderful piece. But I'm going to say good evening to everyone. Take care. Be excellent. And join me for more. And I hope those eyes are kind of glowing, because that was my intention, and I think it's happening, but we're going to see once it dries. All right. All right. Take care, everybody. So happy you've been here. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to play you out.